This episode is sponsored by Well Balanced Nutrition and 360 Health.
Welcome to the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. Listen in as Kristen Norton and Eleanor Russell review all those great health and wellness books you've been wanting to read or you have read and want to talk about. Here's Kristen and Eleanor.
Hey, everybody, this is Eleanor.
And Kristen.
And we're having a outtake convo from all these books that we've been reading. We wanted to just gab a little bit.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. We've covered lots of things so far, like fasting and sleep, meditation and exercise. So,
yeah, gosh. I've got all these charts of 10 things that I should do. And I'm trying to figure out how to do all these things. What about you?
Yeah, I've got a lot that I want to implement. And so that gives us a lot to talk about because it's easier to read about them than it is to put them into practice half the time, is it not?
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked about, do we want to take a month and try one of these things and see how we respond to it? Mm-hmm. I'm not ready for that. Are you?
Not quite, but I like the idea still.
Yeah, we just talked about a book called The Switch, and as soon as we quit recording, we all went, oh man, that looks rough.
Yeah, really, what can we eat on the Switch program?
And if you enjoy a steak every now and then, do you have to feel guilty about it?
Right. That's not what I like about it. That takes the joy out of eating, and I'm about enjoying the journey and your food.
Yeah, and I'm kind of about let's minimize the conversation on food because I think people are obsessing about what they eat.
Oh, such a good point.
Yeah, and I think it's just a piece of our day. It's just a piece of our life, and it doesn't need to be the big deal that we're continually making it. However, this processed food thing is a challenge, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
And when you go to the store, what do you buy?
Processed foods.
Yeah, but don't you help people build shopping lists and stuff like that and make it simpler?
Yeah, so Well Balanced Nutrition has really put a lot of effort lately into helping people get back in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I had to teach myself how to cook.
Oh my gosh, you didn't have a mother that taught you how to cook?
Well, she taught me a couple things, but her mom didn't teach her how to cook either.
Well, that might have been a blessing.
She grew up on canned vegetables and canned fruit. And so when I became a dietitian, I introduced my family to all of this. And so I just kind of shifted Well Balanced Nutrition into, hey, let's get people in the kitchen. Let's teach them how to meal plan and cook. And
from my 360 Health thing, I have been stunned with the young women, 30-ish, 40, well, maybe 20s to 30s, who have no concept of what we used to call home economics. When I went to school, you had in middle school or junior high school, you took a class on home economics, and I kind of like that. It's a business. Running a house is a business. You got to pay for stuff, and you've got to prepare it, and you got to administer all these players.
You are the CEO.
Yeah, you are, right. And but that concept has kind of fallen off the wayside as the feminist movement has made a lot of us women feel like we've got to be in the workforce. We have to be out superwomans. We have to do so much.
Well, and that's where processed foods came in, right?
Exactly.
Because women went to work, and then we needed a solution for dinner time. Uh-huh. And now, we're trying to make our way back from the processed food journey. Mm-hmm. But we have to be creative about how to get a wholesome, healthy dinner on the table quickly.
Yeah, and now there are all these companies sending us boxes of food, and I
like that.
You do, and I don't. Well, this will be fun. Why do you like it?
Well, it takes the shopping and the guesswork out of it, but you get to try new meals that you wouldn't normally create on your own. So we did one for a couple months. It's been years now, but it introduced us to new cuisines, and it gave us time to be in the kitchen without the stress.
Yeah. You must not
What don't you like about it?
Do you have a large collection of cookbooks?
No.
See, when I was your age or younger, and dating, I would get to go out on these wonderful dinners to restaurants that might be German, or they might be Korean, or they might be this or that, different cuisines, like you said.
Oh, nice.
And then I would get curious about it, and I would go get the book. And I grew up in a cooking family that enjoyed meals together. And dream dinners, have you heard of dream dinners?
I
The
have.
business here in town. They had a book about the importance of family meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're missing something by not coming together to eat. But I say I grew up in a family where I had a mom who was pretty swift on healthy nutrition. Some of our families and our churches are not. It's and we're down here in the South, so we're in a belt of cooking style that it can be high calorie, excessive proportions, and that sort of thing. So when I got the cookbooks, I would experiment with, trying the new spices, trying the new flavors, the new techniques, because I like the mechanics of cooking, chopping and rolling and what's going to happen next. The chemistry, I'm a scientist, so, there's a lot of chemistry in the kitchen. I just have a blast in my kitchen. So somebody sends me a box that they already figured they've robbed me of all that creativity and fun. So that's me. But I love that it is introducing people who have not experienced the joy of cooking, which is a cookbook.
And a movie now, right?
Maybe, yeah, right.
So, yeah, we're opposites on that end. And I run into a lot of people who tell me, I don't want to spend any more time in the kitchen than I have to. Food is a necessity. I don't want to be creative in the kitchen.
They eat to live. They don't live to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah, it's just a different approach to life and what's important to each of us, which I think, again, when we're reading these books, I am coming down today, and I said this earlier, is that each journey is different. Everybody's needs are different, and we're going to have to find our own way. And what's good for you and your family may not be good for me and my family, but I bet it works for both of us. And I bet we both can have healthy homes and healthy influences.
In our own ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're going to incorporate some of these healthy, there's evidence of things that are more healthy and less healthy.
Right.
So
in the switch, is there anything that you see yourself implementing or would recommend?
Well, I have actually. I have been toying around with the intermittent fasting concept, and I have discovered I like it. I used to think you had to have breakfast first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. And maybe my metabolism has changed. Could be because I'm older now. But I used to wake up hungry. And if I didn't grab something to eat, I couldn't make it to school. And, there's a lot of suggestion that children that don't eat breakfast do poorly in school. But for me right now, I'm stretching out my non-eating time. And, 12 hours, 14, 16, I haven't gotten there yet, which is what I think he suggests as a goal. But I do feel good. So I'm probably going to play with that a little bit more. Now, the protein cycling and the keto, I don't know.
Yeah, what's on my mind is this protein deal because...
Me too.
In like the weight building or muscle building or even just like the 45-minute intense workouts, you've got the cardio and like the boot camp style. Right. For that, they are really, and paleo lifestyle, right? Big on the protein. And you're getting about 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. And then he's saying that, no, you need less than even like the 45 grams a day.
He didn't build in this exercise conversation as well as I would like to have heard it.
And yeah, that goes back to, it depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
If you're, fasting and you're not really exercising a lot is different than fasting and you're doing 45-minute really intense workouts 5 to 6 days a week.
Or if you're a 12-year-old versus a 70-year-old. He didn't talk about that very much either.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fasting's a terrible idea for children.
Yeah. So this whole, it's not as complete a discussion as we're going to have in the coming years, I bet.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying kind of skipping breakfast sometimes.
No, I pretty much wait until I'll get up, I'll have a cup of green tea. And then mid-morning or later, I'll have a cup of coffee because he said that was good. I said, okay, I'm a coffee snob anyway, so That suits me. And then, at lunchtime, I'll have a large meal. Because one of the things he said was you should eat the bulk of your calories early midday to early afternoon.
Yeah, I do recommend that.
And I think I've seen enough evidence of that. And when I do it myself, my body's responding to that. Although I slide to late night eating sometimes because I'll have all these Zoom meetings and I can't seem to coordinate my eating hunger. I might be hungry before it, but I don't have, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm not going to eat dinner then. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll try that and see what happens. So what about this? How about you? Are you going to do anything from this book?
The fasting I sometimes play around with. Mine is especially at night, do I really need to eat something after dinner? Or... Yeah, but I more or less pay attention to my hunger right now.
Well, according to that sleep book, if you would go to bed instead of wondering, should I eat something? And that's where I find my mistakes when I live a perfect life, don't you?
Oh, I am 100%.
Yeah, so I stay up too late and then I get hungry. And I say that happened to me because I was doing a late retail shift for a period of time. And I would get out at 9 and close the store by 10, go to the grocery store by 11, get home and eat. And then that set me up for a pattern that has been hard to break if I stay up late. Yeah. So my trick will be go to bed. According to the Why We Sleep book that we read by Mr. Walker, he's saying, wind down and the earlier, go with the light patterns, when it's dusk. A little bit after dusk, it's time. So 9 o'clock, go to bed. Hey, novel idea. I did it for lots of years and had a great life.
Ooh, 9 o'clock. That's early.
When do your kids go to bed?
They're in bed by 8, but they probably don't fall asleep till 8:30. Mm-hmm. And I'm in bed by 10:30, 11. Yeah. And he recommends, Mr. Walker, that bedtime routine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something... I don't know. I'm on the fence about whether that's important for me to work on right now. I think it's good, and I hear a lot of people putting their phone out of their room because of that blue light. And he's saying that it messes with your melatonin by 50% if you're reading a book on your iPad versus a plain old book.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I don't do that kind of thing. But a bedtime routine where you splash that cold water on your face, you read a book, and you get in a dark room.
Mm-hmm. And cool
room.
There you go. Yeah. All right, well, I think we had a fun conversation with these two books, and we might be talking some more just without a book title.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the exercise? We had that, we talked about Spark, and... Some of us in this room are doing a lot of walking right now, so that might be fun to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I'm an advocate for exercise, have been forever, even though I don't practice it like I could. But his discourse about the revolutionary new science of exercise and the brain was very convincing. So I have started I'm doing 2,021 miles in 2021. And I have a team of 4 other people. I'm not running, I'm walking. Our team has already collected 600 miles. I've hit my 100. I'm working on my second 100. At this rate, I won't make 22,000 miles by the end of the year, but I'm going to get a longer duration of my exercising, so I will improve. But I've done it daily, and I'm really excited about it. I feel great.
Well, and how does it change the motivation for you when you have a team and that goal that you're striving for?
Well, I started on January 1st, and it was really funny in the Chamber of Commerce, and Jenny Locklear, you're getting a call out here. She's with Louisville Family Counseling, and she said last year they had done 2,020 miles. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, oh, yeah, there's this Run the Edge group. You sign on, you get a team, and you can do it with your family. And everybody can collect. And we did it by August. And I went, you did 2,020 miles by August?
Wow.
And I thought, that just blew my mind. I said, I want to do that. I'm up for that. So I said, are they doing it this year? She said, yeah. So I signed up, and I talked to several people, and I got 4 other people. I have somebody in Pennsylvania doing this with me, and I've got a person over in Greensboro and a person in High Point and a person here in Advance. And we're having a blast. We're watching these miles collect, and it's great.
It's a fun way to motivate
Yeah.
yourself to get out and walk.
Yeah, and I've actually gotten a section of my walk into a run now because some of these books talk about the benefit of running. And there used to be that argument that you're going to destroy your joints and have to have joint replacements if you run. And we've decided that's not true. Running is very healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I have done. So I walk the dog a couple times a day, and
Is it different? I mean, or have you always done that? Did the book cause you to do that?
The book has encouraged me
There you
to
go.
pick up my pace and walk farther with the dog than I was before. So I will either, like brisk walk so I can feel my heart rate increase, or I'll even run with the dog for a little bit.
Good.
And, I have ADD, so the Spark talks about how it can really help you think clearly. And so when I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed or like, all right, I'm not being really productive right now, I'm like, all right, the guy in Spark told me to go out and walk my dog or, get my heart rate up.
Yeah.
So I intentionally do that because of that book.
Yeah,
which
John
is neat.
Rady.
John Rady,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
I forgot his name.
Yeah. And I am finding that I'm doing the same thing. I'm very conscious now of I'm getting sluggish. Take an exercise break. And I have a colleague who is in the addiction support groups. And
Okay.
they have a thing, move a muscle, change a thought.
I love that.
Yeah. And ever since she shared that with me, it was like, oh, that is so true. And there's a producer in our podcast studio that was listening to us talk about this. And I hear that he started some walking and he said, I'm alive.
So, yeah, my name is Tim. I am a fan of the show, not only because I produce it, but because I learn things. So, so this morning alone, before 9 a.m., I already had 2 miles walking.
Excellent. We are so excited.
And that was correlation between listening to you guys and Kristen. I'm working with her in my own health journey, and I'm enjoying the journey.
Yes.
Who wouldn't? She's a great guide.
She is. And I produce another podcast, and I had her on yesterday to talk about that. But walking, because I don't run unless someone's chasing me with a knife.
Yeah.
And even at that, I'm probably just going to stop and say, just do it.
Yeah, running's not necessary.
No.
Walking is the best.
Yeah, I do not enjoy running at all. I never have. Even as a child, I would get out of it anytime I could. But my journey, my walking journey, has started in the last 3 weeks, and with the exception of one weekday, I have walked every day for the last 3 weeks.
That is so awesome.
Now I don't do Saturdays and Sundays because I get ordinary days there, but I have to take a break sometimes.
Yeah.
But this yesterday I did not get up because I didn't feel good Sunday and I was exhausted and it just was not happening. But every other day, and my movement has increased not only stepwise, but this morning, I didn't tell you this, I told you how I walked to my parents' house, and it's
Uphill.
it's uphill 200 yards.
Ooh.
And I got all the way back down to my house without having to stop, without losing my breath.
That's
fantastic.
exciting.
And so whenever I came down the hill, I zigzagged the driveway. So I didn't. So I got more steps.
Yeah.
And then I have a circular driveway in my house, at my house. So I walked around that 6 times.
You got your own track.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure, and my goal every morning is to at least, doing that, half a mile. Because of what I ate last night, and I had to make up for that, I made sure it was 0.6 of a mile. Uh-huh. And then when I got to the studio, I have this large parking lot outside here. You both are parked in it right now. Uh-huh. You know how big it is. I walked it somewhere between 25 to 30 times this morning and ended up before 9 o'clock at 2.06 miles.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is what we're talking about. This podcast is what we want to do, is build a wellness community, and we're influencing people ourselves, and it's changing our lives, and we are so excited to hear a report like that. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, both of you.
And we're going to continue to encourage each other, and those of you out there listening to us. take time. Think about your lifestyle. Daily practices matter, and it can be exciting, and you will even feel better.
That's right. You will feel great. Mm-hmm. And when you start with a baby step, you could, find yourself just rolling in that momentum and wanting to do more and more and more steps. And that's where I'm at. I think, okay, what can I do that's a little bit more next time? And with you, Eleanor, walking and getting those steps with your team is motivating. So, yeah, it's exciting. That's exactly what we want to do, is encourage one another and build that momentum with each other.
Good. Well, then tune in and we'll have another conversation. This is Eleanor at 360 Health. You can reach me at 360health4u.com.
And Kristen Norton of Well Balanced Nutrition. You can reach us at wellbalancednutrition.com. Thanks for tuning in today.
And opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and are not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the expressed written consent of Kristen and Eleanor.